Hey everybody, so today we are going to be talking all about B12. This is a very important vitamin that we all need, especially if you're vegan. So I just want to share with you what I've learned along my journey over the last 4 years of being vegan. When I first went vegan, I was so overjoyed by the lifestyle I was living, and I was really happy that whenever I heard about B12 and how, there are no plant sources of B12 and you need to supplement, I just ignored it. And I just thought that my body was gonna be the special one that doesn't need any of that stuff because I'm eating mostly raw, and somehow magically, I'm just not gonna need it. And after 3 years time, I developed a B12 deficiency, and that was really, really not fun. I was exhausted all the time. I just had to lie down, I couldn't concentrate at all. And it was not pleasant. So I'm dedicating this video to everybody out there who is struggling a little bit with this whole B12 thing. You don't understand what it is. Maybe you have a deficiency. And I know that when I was going through that deficiency, it made me think twice about the vegan lifestyle, and I was thinking maybe I should incorporate some animal products into my lifestyle. I just really got paranoid. Also, it wasn't just me. Even now when I meet vegans, and I meet new vegans all the time that have been vegan for about a year or 2 years, they're really new to the lifestyle. And one of the things that most of them have in common is that they have this same sort of mentality that I used to have when I first went vegan, and that is oh, well, you don't really need it, your body's gonna make it for you. If you're eating raw, it's suddenly, because you're eating raw, you develop this superpower, and in many ways you do, but you still need to take your B12 supplement or find other ways of getting B12. Before we get into this whole subject of what B12 is and how you can get it, there's something else that I want to mention, and that is some of the really big YouTubers out there and people that we look up to. I'm not going to mention any names, but they sort of have been, they've been sort of promoting this idea that we don't really need to freak out about B12. Our intestines will take care of it. As long as you have a healthy gut and you're making a spinach smoothie, there'll be a little bit of B12 on that spinach leaf. No, guys, no. Okay, this is false. And I really felt when I was watching these big YouTubers saying all these things on YouTube, and I felt like they're just trying to sell their product, or they're just trying to sell whatever it is that they're trying to sell and lying to you. And I just believe in this vegan lifestyle so much that it really pissed me off, because I want us to succeed, and I really believe that it's the future, and I don't think that we should be lying to each other. We should be really honest about the vegan lifestyle. There's a lot of advantages to it, and there's some disadvantages as well. Okay, so we just need to be honest and real about it, and just find the solutions to these little problems that we might be having regarding the vegan lifestyle, and just deal with it, you know what I mean, and overcome it, not lie to each other to sell something. So yeah, having said that, let's get into this whole subject of B12 and where it comes from. Okay, so what is B12? B12 is found in bodies of water and in the soil. Okay, so microorganisms, primarily bacteria, are the only organisms that manufacture B12. These bacteria often live in bodies of water and soil. Okay, so how do animals get their B12? There are a couple of ways that animals can get their B12. They can get it by eating poop. So everybody out there, don't get any bright ideas of eating your own poop in order to get B12, okay? Just don't go there. The second way for animals to get their B12 is by grazing and eating B12 contaminated soil, okay? The third way is they eat animal sourced foods like other animals or eggs. And also the fourth way is B12 is made by their gut bacteria. Okay, so where do humans get their B12? Although animal and dairy products are a source of vitamin B12, the natural soil microbes and bacteria found on wild food, unwashed garden plants, in earthy soil are a great way to supply your B12 needs. The natural microbes and bacteria in the soil need to be duplicated and colonized in our intestinal tract for absorption of nutrients. Vitamin B12 is produced by these natural microbes and bacteria as they colonize in the intestines. The best source of these organisms is wild, unwashed foods, okay? A problem with the formation of vitamin B12 occurs when there is a sterilization that happens between the picking of the fruit or vegetable and the moment it reaches one's mouth. Sterile environments are unnatural. The soil microbes and bacteria that grow on raw fruits and vegetables need to be duplicated in the intestinal tract for the proper absorption of vitamin B12 to take place. So you can get enough B12 by growing your own garden and not washing those vegetables and fruits all that well, as the natural microorganisms on the plants will carry B12, okay? So although animal and dairy products are a source of vitamin B12, the natural soil microbes and bacteria found on wild food, unwashed garden plants in earthy soil are a great way to supply your B12 needs. Okay guys, so in other words, if you have your own garden, just eat them as naturally as possible. Like our ancestors would have just pulled, carrots out of the ground, and although there was some dirt on there and probably some insects, they would eat them, But nowadays everything is just really sterile. The environment is very sterile, so it's not healthy and it's not natural. So that's why we're missing out on all the good B12 that's in the soil. And it's not just vegans that have an issue with B12, it's even meat eaters. And that's just a little bit of a complicated topic because meat eaters have a lot of acid in their stomach, and that can cause a problem with the absorption of B12. So that's just a whole other topic that we're not going to get into right now. So are there any plant-based sources of B12? So according to my research, guys, most seaweeds have sources of B12, but there are two kinds of B12s, okay? There's the inactive B12 and the active B12. The inactive B12 means that there is some B12 that exists in a food, but it's not available for absorption for our bodies, okay? So it's inactive. Most seaweeds are inactive, and the only one which I've been reading about on the internet that isn't inactive and our bodies can absorb it is the raw nori seaweed, okay? So according to my research, raw nori seaweed has small quantities of B12 that is active that we can absorb, but it is not a reliable source of B12 because the quantities are so small. So as you guys can see, all of the other seaweeds are inactive, and that includes spirulina, because I have heard some people say that spirulina has B12 in it. Okay, all of the rest of the seaweeds are inactive except for raw nori, all right? But again, you don't want to rely on raw nori for your B12 needs. Also, if you guys want to check out the Vegan Society's website, they actually say that there is no reliable B12 source for vegans, and they have a lot of people researching for them, and I trust their information. So check that out, guys. If you want to read more on that, just Google it and type in Vegan Society, and I'm sure you guys are going to find it. So although you might be getting enough B12 in your system, guys, a healthy gut is really important when we're talking about B12 absorption, okay? So what happens is that when you're chewing your food, what happens is that the saliva, the proteins in the saliva protect the B12 when it's going down into the stomach, okay? So the saliva protects the B12 from the stomach acids. And then there's such a thing called intrinsic factor, which is in the stomach, okay? And this intrinsic factor protects the B12, okay, from when it is transferred from the stomach to the small intestine. So this intrinsic factor is extremely important, and the whole process could be ruined by eating a lot of toxic foods. So you might not have enough intrinsic factor in your stomach because there are a number of reasons for this. If you have weak stomach acid, or you just don't produce enough stomach acid, you might have low intrinsic factor. If you had stomach surgery or gastritis, or if you're eating a lot of MSG and toxic foods, one thing you really need to be careful of is mercury. tap water, water contamination, if you have dental fillings of mercury, all that can leak down into the gut. Another thing that we can link altered intrinsic factor production to is genetically modified foods, especially the GMO foods that contain the Bt toxin, which can damage the stomach cells, causing them not to produce or alter the production of intrinsic factor, or also known as the leaky gut syndrome. Okay, everybody, so if you're vegan and you don't have your own garden to produce your own fresh organic fruits and vegetables, that you wouldn't be washing very well in order to get your B12, then I highly suggest that you take a supplement. You can take a daily dose. All we need actually is a very low dose daily. It's about 3 to 4 micrograms a day. So if you want to take a supplement of 10 micrograms a day, you can do that. Or you can take a weekly supplement of about 1,000 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams a week, okay? But don't like, obviously you should talk to your doctor about this. So I'm just trying to give you guys, to the best of my knowledge, a lot of tips regarding B12, but you should talk to your doctor. So there are some deficiencies, symptoms that you could experience if you have deficiencies in B12. A couple of those that I have experienced when I was B12 deficient a couple of years back is that I was extremely exhausted all the time. I had to lie down. I wasn't physically active, like I wasn't able to exercise. Another one is that my skin was a little bit pale. I had a white tongue. Also heart palpitations, shortness of breath. I was extremely moody and irritable, and all of these things are not fun. So it's good that we're here educating ourselves on B12 and what we can do to, make this vegan lifestyle of ours sustainable. And just remember, if you've gone vegan and you're kind of new at this lifestyle and you've only been vegan for about a year or two, B12 is stored in your body for a very long time. It can take up to 3 years for you to become deficient in B12 if you're not supplementing. For some people, it can take a lot longer, like even 10 years. So it really depends on the person. If I were you, I wouldn't wait that long. I wouldn't wait to see what would happen. I mean, this has been tested, like people have tried not to take B12. I am one of those people, and after 3 years I was deficient. I'm only making this video because I care about the vegan community. I want us to thrive. I want us to be the future. So I don't want people, like it almost happened to me where I was thinking about incorporating animal products back into my lifestyle, and I would have just gone back to being, to eating everything, and I'm really grateful that that didn't happen. So just take your B12 supplement, guys. You just need them in small doses. And be happy on this lifestyle. And I really want to thank you for watching the video. Really appreciate it. And we're here every week giving you fantastic videos on nutrition and vegan recipes. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time on Irene the Coco Queen, and don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video, and if you haven't subscribed already, I suggest you do. Thank you guys, see you next time.